The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the New Media Factory. Some programs on this network might include strong images and language and may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Would you come if I asked you to walk with me on this one-way road that leads? Oh, I don't know, but I will take you anywhere you see. I know what you need, and what you've done is exactly what I
Hey there, what's up? Welcome to Counterflow. I'm James Deacon here with Tom Stockinger at Beyond the Box Studios. We're on live on nmfnetwork.tv, so thanks for joining us. Hey Tom, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Just came back from Europe from watching the last race of Marlon in Monza.
Yeah, that was... I'm sorry I missed that.
Testing where you were there for only 48 hours, right?
Actually, I counted, it was a bit less than 48. So I think I was on the ground for like 30 something, and I spent 48 getting there, but certainly worthwhile. We talked a little bit about it last week, but we'll get more into it now because it's great that you're on the show. We can talk about some more of the details. So for those who are just tuned in and don't know what's going on, Tom Stockinger is the father of Marlon Stockinger, who, if you haven't heard of him yet, well, you know, you're about to, because this is going to be, well, our next big thing for sports in the Philippines. At least that's what we're really hoping, because we've got our Pacquiaos, we've got our stars like Lea Salonga and all these people, these great ambassadors to the country. Here's another opportunity to get onto a global stage for a Filipino. I'll ask you right now, because a lot of people think, is Marlon really Filipino? And he doesn't look Filipino, but tell them, he is more Filipino than...
You are Filipino.
He's probably more Filipino than I am. My mom is pure Filipina, so just like his mother, and my father is British.
Okay.
He grew up here.
He was born here. He grew up here. He had a Filipino passport right from the beginning, and he grew up in several parts of Manila.
So he went to
he's
school
very
here,
Filipino.
right?
He went to school here. Yes. Yeah.
Because, you know, I'll be honest, I had the same question, and I thought, here we go. It's one of those... I'll just be perfectly honest. It's one of those imports that we, okay, he's got like a 1/100th portion Filipino blood, and now they're selling him as the great big thing.
No, he's an export.
He's an export. Well said, Tom. And not just that. But I wanted to see for myself. And then when Marlon started talking like 10 times better Tagalog than I did, I was like, okay, you win. Yes, definitely, which is great. And you'll see later on, we'll play a video for you. And just the way he talks, you can tell that, no, he was really brought up here. And he flies the flag for us. And so let's talk a little bit about, before we get into the test, Marlon's, how he got started, how old he was, how he went through the ranks.
It started all out.
When did you first see his potential?
Yeah. It started out in Carmona because I started to kart with some friends of mine, and then at one point it's always like if you have a son, right? You want to try it out. You put him into that little go-kart, and this is the beginning.
And then he started lapping you, and then you thought...
Exactly. I beat him first. I mean, if he would be here, he would start laughing, but it was true. But for
he was two?
No, it was no. It's true. Sorry, it was true. It was true. But no. Very quickly he lapped, of course, faster than us old guys. So this is so
How
we started.
old are we talking about?
About 9 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is about in Europe. The guys started 6-7 years old, right? So it was Carmona. It was karting in the Philippines, karting in Asia, then a little bit of karting in Europe.
So he won a championship here in Manila, right? Or is it the Asian series?
We both. We had different categories, or still have different categories. So usually we actually mostly concentrated on the Rotax Max series, which is an engine which lasts longer, right? is less expensive to maintain. The 125, yes, and then he did actually the series. He won the series in the Philippines. He won the Asian championship in the Rotax 125, the I think it was called the ACOG Open, or still is. And then he competed also in Europe in the Rotax Max World Series. What I forget by now.
Which is based where or
It runs in several countries and has the world finals are always held in different countries as well. We were in Lanzarote, Spain once. We were in Malaysia, in Langkawi. And the last one, where he came in 8th place of about 200 participants, I think it is, was in Al Ain in Dubai. Yeah.
Wow. Out of 200 on the same grid, or is this
no? You have your qualifying heats, elimination.
I was going to say, imagine a grid of 200 people. That's like EDSA.
I think he pushed out what was the famous one of the princes was also driving with us.
Did he have like bodyguards?
Al Maktoum, you know, the one who's the A1 GP.
A1 guy,
he was right, and he was like, Marlon knocked him out a bit, and then he was.
I would
who's that Filipino that's gonna, kick me out of the race?
And then the next race, the prince had those an Innova behind them with a wang 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 wow 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 wow. So then he was. Did you then start thinking, wow, this guy? When did you start thinking he might make it to F1? I mean, when was that point that you realized you stopped being a proud father and you started thinking this could actually be?
I think that point is never there where you just say.
Not even last April too, when you didn't sort of see that this you can almost taste it.
Well, okay, now is of course you get more and more the taste of it, and then the desire becomes greater and greater also for the driver, of course, but I think before. You just make decisions. You go on. You always try to keep it down to earth, and you say, okay, we try the next step, because you never know, how is it all going to develop. So at the end of karting, with about 15, 16, you think about it. Do you keep it as a hobby and you just go on karting, or do you want to try it and go into a single-seater car? Which at the time was the Formula BMW, was basically the thing to do. Also because they were running in Asia, and again they had, let's say, a lower budget than if you go to Europe. So that was a choice. And then you still have school, which you have to do here, so you don't want to.
How did he do that? That's a good.
He passed his grades, his GTSE. Is it called right?
I'm not sure either. It's been a long time since I've been there.
GCSI, sorry, it's called in the UK, and he went to the British school here in Manila. He did it with about slightly above 30% of attendance. Mm-hmm. So he got a letter then, because later on he went to college in the UK for a couple of months. That's as long as he could stay still. The teachers wrote him a letter that he actually would be quite a very good student if he would go to school.
Small technicality, but you do kind of have to. As I say, 90% is showing up.
Hardly, what was the remark of his head teacher? Hardly know the lad, but he drives a lot.
So what did he have to do, like correspondence or homeschooling, or did he have to supplement it, or?
No, he did his GCSI grades here in Manila, mm-hmm. And since then he has been racing. So, so it's either race. If racing wouldn't go on, I would recommend go back to school. But nowadays, I think this is not really such an issue anymore.
Because we have Google.
School, evening schools. You have Google.
We have Google. Exactly. We don't need anything else. That's it.
And then again, he's always with me. So I think he gets a lot of good advice.
Well, he's, they always say travel is the best teacher, and that certainly he'll pick up a lot. But I've always been curious how professional race car drivers, because they start so young, how they actually finish their schooling.
I can tell you, because Marlon went to the same college as Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
And I told him, you get your A grades there, because that would have been the logical choice. And then he came back right away. He said, Dad, why do I have to do my A grades? Because Lewis Hamilton actually did exactly the same, his GCSE grades. Mm-hmm. So he didn't do more. So this was, of course, again, another arguing for me. It's
Cool.
hard to argue, why do you have to do more than Lewis Hamilton?
yeah, you know what? That's
Okay,
that's tough.
but he's in F1 now, so obviously, you can then argue. Well, there.
It's slightly off topic, but it reminds me of this
Yeah.
classic picture of Flavio Briatore standing in the ocean with this beautiful girl, which is his wife. And Flavio wasn't looking at his finest at this picture, right? It was definitely not a flattering Flavio picture.
Flavio.
It was that's where he got the Flavio thing, and the caption was underneath said, "This is why when your dad tells you to go to school, you should listen to him." That was a caption, and then somebody else put, "This is why when your dad tells you to go to school, you should listen to him too," meaning for Flavio, because either way, with a good education, you're gonna, and if you don't have a good education as a girl, you will end up like that with somebody like that. Anyway, that was off topic, but all right, we've gone as far as Formula BMW Asia. So then from there, how did he do in that series?
He did it only for one season. Was, I think, rookie, was third overall, and overall in eighth. He had a second place in Sepang.
Okay.
Was so mixed a bit, not really that great. And then I talked with some advisors, which were always a bit around Marlon. Terry Fullerton,
Okay. Excellent.
British go-kart champion and world champion, recommended. He says, of course, being British, he said, if you want to do anything now, you have to go to Formula Renault UK. This is where you have to be, because that makes a man out of you. This is the right training, etc., etc. Kimi Räikkönen, Lewis Hamilton, all of these people came from.
Kimi Räikkönen jumped straight from there to F1, right? He
Exactly.
skipped the whole.
Yeah. He skipped everything else. He did a bit like Bottas, for example. He just went as far as GP3. Is considered a talent, and then when Toto Wolff came as the owner or part owner and manager of Williams, they said, "I'm not going to spend any more money for you to go through GP2 or whatever. We put you as a reserve driver, you know what to do, and then we put you in F1.
We'll talk about that in a second, because I'm
yeah,
interested to know, because I thought I had high hopes for Bottas going in, and we're going to definitely talk about the F1 season. But from Formula Renault, that was already, so he got his teeth cut there. He was dicing it out with the best of the best. And later on, he moved over to GP3.
Yeah, in 2 years of Formula Renault UK, which I would say in hindsight, I mean, you can do other things. You could go also to the Euro Series F3 at the time. No, was it still around? I mean, British F3 was still around. The European Series. So there are several European F3 series. Or you can do the Euro Cup in Renault, which is slightly more budget, but probably could give you also a good learning curve. But anyway, the decision was UK. Then we went on to GP3. Again,
GP3 is what catapulted him, at least here locally. I mean,
yeah, because of his win in Monaco, podium in Barcelona.
And not, aside from that, he scored something like 90% or 80% of the combined team score of his teammates.
Yeah, I mean, the season last year, it started quite well, had a bit of dip in the middle, then he came back up again. Was not maybe ideal. It's very difficult. It's very important to find the right teammates, and the teammates last year were not maybe
pushing
the strongest actually. So I think, for example, this year it's better because he has a very experienced teammate, so he can really measure against.
How experienced is this Marco Sorensen?
Honestly, I'm not even too familiar with his background, except that he is now in World Series by Renault.
This is not his first season.
This is his second season,
Okay,
so he's a championship contender.
He is a champion. So theoretically, we could Marlon's in a very competitive team for the Renault World Series.
He is in a very competitive team. The team is very good, has a lot of experience. The team used to run in A1 World Championship. It was the Czech team with Thomas Enge.
And they won the championship there?
Did they?
I'm not sure.
You know, I'm not good in some of the data. I'm not good in championships and who won,
Okay.
because of course, I mean, in a way, my concentration is slightly focused on Marlon, of course, you know, and then what's going on there. If you ask me about other championships, I'm sometimes
All right, no
a bit
problem
lost.
at all. But basically, it's good to know that
Yeah.
he's in a championship-winning team, at least for which contender.
Yeah.
The championship
Yeah.
contenders,
Yeah.
Marcus Sorensen, being viewed or eyed as a potential candidate for the championship this year.
Yeah.
And yet, it was great to see Marlon in his first 2 outings in Monza, despite never having raced in that car, was able to beat his teammate to finish ahead of him twice. That's great news. So that brings us to the F1 test. We covered this quite a bit. So what happened after I left? I mean, how did Marlon feel? I didn't get a chance to say goodbye or see, get all these final
Because
thoughts.
I send you all away so that we can do the real fast laps at the end of the day, right?
Just in case anything went south. There were no cameras, no media, no nothing. So he's like, now step on it, Marlon.
No, it was actually good, right? Because you had all the opportunity to see whatever, talk with the team, and
That
then-
was a great opportunity.
And actually, by the time everybody left, I think it was in a way it was good, because he could really start concentrating on it was a mix of learning the car, also for the roadshow for end of next week. And then in the end, of course, it's also to show that you can handle the car, how well you take to it, how you manipulate all the buttons on the steering wheels, because that's basically what the team wants to see. You know, it's quite technical. They want to see how you adapt, whether you're. Some people can't or don't know what to do with all the buttons. So it was quite good. And then also everybody told him this is just to get used to the car. Lap times don't count and
Yes, that's
whatever.
what they kept telling me.
So and then that's Marlon said that's of course sorry to use that's BS, right?
Yes.
Of course lap times count. So he said he treated one of the laps with a fresh set of tires as a qualifying lap. And I think he came out beating Nick Prost's reference time in the same car by 1.2 seconds. So
Let's stop there for a second,
Okay.
because that's what excited me, because I was also
bragging.
Well, no, that's fine, because I think I can't remember if I wrote it. And this article here in CETA, I said something like, telling a race car driver that times are not important is like telling a Matador or something. I can't remember how I put it there. But basically, it's like, that's ridiculous. That's why we exist. You
right.
can't tell me that's not important. So he did these 1.2 seconds faster. What is a reference time? Is it the fastest lap of Nick Prost, or is it a time that they expected Marlon to do? Or
This is a good question. That's again very technical. I wouldn't know what a reference time really. No, I think the
because
reference.
I hung on to that because I didn't want to misquote, so I said reference time.
Okay.
Read into it the way you want, but
I guess what they mean by reference time is a time set on a dry day under relatively similar conditions by another test driver of the Lotus F1 team.
so this is what we can expect of the car. This is what we
Yeah.
okay.
Actually, because it was a bit of a shame, because Marlon, the next day after we left, some of the big bosses of the Lotus F1 team went and drove the car. I mean, all in the range of 12 seconds off. But these are the business.
This is,
that's the big
That's
boys playing. And then Valsecchi was doing it, which is the official reserve driver of the team, was doing it the following day. So Marlon was saying like, I want to know how fast
what
he
was
goes.
Valsecchi?
Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that, or he wasn't able to do it because it was raining. So they stopped midday. So there is no reference time with Valsecchi.
So
for
Nick
example.
Prost is also a reserve or a test driver.
I'm not 100%. He shows up in connection with the
Wikipedia.
team once in a while. I'm not exactly sure what
on
is his-
Wikipedia, he
yeah.
shows up as a test driver.
Okay.
For the Lotus F1 team.
He's actually a long distance sports car driver. I think that is his line, as far as I know.
Okay.
He drives Le Mans. Things
All right.
like that.
So Marlon, when I left and I asked him, "Is it what you expect?" He said, "No, it's even more."
Yeah, they were good. I mean, I got good feedback from the top down. I mean, the phone was ringing a couple of times from the CEO of Lotus F1. Of course, all the reports land on Eric Boulier's, the team principal's desk. So I was given again a good feedback. They said they were very happy, which is not normal if you just go the first day into an F1 car. Then the former engineer of Alonso, Rod Nelson, who was Marlon's engineer for the day, and won 2 world championships with Fernando Alonso. I think he was very happy with how he behaved, how he did his job. So all of this is, of course, one of the engineers told me then over a couple of beers in the evening at the hotel bar, he said, this day has been very important for Marlon's career, if you look at F1. Because usually if you do your first outing in an F1 car, and if you behave like you don't know what you're doing, is less likely you will have the chance again to do it. If you do it very well, the chance anyway that you sooner or later probably can try it out again is much higher. And that, I mean, gives you respect, and people look at it, and I think in professional circles this is also something that word spreads around quite quickly. So that's good. Good promotion.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned about the Lotus F1 Roadshow. That's coming to Manila May 4 and 5. Talk us through that. What can we expect? What can everyone out there expect to see? This is, of course, the very first time we're going to see a F1 car, live F1 car, not just be taken to the Philippines, but driven on Philippine roads.
Yeah. So this is the Lotus F1 Roadshow. There's 2 teams in the F1 world that actually have a proper roadshow team, which is Red Bull and Lotus. So they have 35 technicians, mechanics, and engineers, which come with 2 F1 cars. Usually one is driven around and the other is in reserve in case you crash the first one. So in these cars, Marlon and probably also Valsecchi will do like show rounds. That meaning to say they take it around. It will start on Saturday morning, probably around 9 o'clock at Quirino Grandstand, because it's a part also of the Parks Authorities, I hope I get it right, campaign together with the Department of Tourism of Kilometer Zero.
They're relaunching it or something, yeah.
Yeah, it starts there, and it's like now a symbol now for a new start, for tourism, etc. So Marlon is the new face of Kilometer Zero. So this is all around Quirino Grandstand. He will do a couple of laps there, around the grandstand, out onto Rojas Boulevard, then what's the street? I'm not quite sure, and then around again. So this is in the morning. From there will be a motorcade where they transport the F1 car and other sports cars. The Manila Sports Car Club is joining. They will all go to Moa, and then Moa on Saturday afternoon, and Sunday they will do laps and rounds and donuts all around Moa. So the general admission to this is free. Just to say, so everybody is welcome to come and watch. And there's a lot of other activities there. Sports cars. I think the drifters are there. There is motorbikes. JP Carino, who wanted to be here, he's in charge of all of that.
Who ironically is in charge of the fastest event in the country, is stuck in traffic.
No, I think he's stuck in a meeting because of course it's all these preparations, going on. So that's why they sent me here.
No problem at all.
So if I'm not exactly, but the program is out.
The program's been released. Has the maps have been released yet?
The maps have been released. It should be on the Manila Speed Show Facebook fan site. Actually, nowadays you just Google it and it will.
Yeah,
all the info will be.
They do have an official page. It's a Lotus F1 Roadshow Manila, and you can just go to that on Facebook.
That's a Facebook page.
Yes, and they're very active there. Great way to get all your information about the show. You do not want to miss this because Well, this is going to be an historic event, and you know, it opens the doors for our local drivers to you know, be recognized. I mean, it's Marlon's. It's one thing to have Marlon there. It's sensational, but you know, you end up on the radar of these guys. Am I wrong? I mean, all of a sudden they might have never even heard of the Philippines in the motorsports world, and then he's giving this exposure, and they might think, oh, one day we might even have I don't know, either a few more candidates, maybe an F1 track. Who knows? But this is where it all starts.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I learned that over the last 2 years in working a bit closer with the Lotus F1 team. That you know, before when you start racing, you always hear, "Oh, racing is business," right? And you always say, "Where's the business?" Right? You're just spending your money and you're running in lower categories. There's not much business around. But if you reach the level of F1, you suddenly see how these guys actually manage their businesses, how they use the platform of F1 basically as a meeting point for companies, for, you know, governments, whatever. It's a great point, a great platform to do networking between business CEOs, owners, government officials, whatever, because they're all there, and when they're there in an atmosphere which is relaxed and which they enjoy, this is where you meet the people. So it's a great platform to promote businesses, to promote even a country, its people, and this is actually part of our idea, is that through Marlon being in the sport, you also can put the Philippines on the map of motorsports. Exactly. For the world. And okay, so is this going to be televised through? I mean, not just locally, but will it be televised outside the country? Outside the country, I'm not sure. I'm not aware of that.
But we have the rights to use, I guess, once the event is finished, we have the rights to use this to promote the Philippines, etc.
Yes,
you can use the video.
I think it probably will not live, but I mean there will be some interest. Actually, we have as you know, we have Peter Windsor coming. He's a very well-known F1 journalist. Also involved in many other aspects of Formula One, and he has his own TV network. Whatever. What's it called? Speed. So
Speed TV. Yeah.
Speed TV. Yeah. So that will be one of the
an F1 racing magazine. Yeah. But yeah, that's so true. He does do commentary for that.
So he will bring it there. We have I have some other journalists probably that come flying in because they heard about it, and they want to report about it. That's more on the print media side. Yeah.
Well, okay, let's take a break for a while from Marlon's event, and let's talk about the F1 season, how it's been going so far, because I don't know how much time we've got left. But
let me just say one thing.
Sure.
We have invited President Aquino to drive in the two-seater car as a passenger. So maybe Marlon gets a chance to give him a ride. So we hope he will show up.
I hope so too.
Let's see.
All right, because I hope so too, because that would certainly get all the media coverage that you would want. I mean, if Pinoy's in the car, just as long as he doesn't hit anything with the Pinoy in the car,
we'll be careful.
Of course, I'm sure he
once.
will be. But that will be fantastic. Okay, you know, as a big F1 fan yourself, you always watch the race. What's your take on the season so far? We just saw Bahrain last night, and normally that's a boring track, and yet. I think there was like 2 or 3 laps where I was allowed to breathe. The rest of it was...
No, it was really exciting. I mean, you can't say F1 is boring anymore because even if, let's say, somebody like Vettel leads up in front, racing behind was just fantastic. I think it's very, very similar to the Texas Austin racetrack, right? Which seems to allow... racing and not the pattern you have sometimes in F1 or in single-seater racing is once the first few laps are over, you know, sort of it's a marching order or something like that, and none of it.
You have to wait for something drastic to happen.
Very exciting, and of course, again, I'm focused on Lotus on the Lotus F1 team, because
These
if
guys are
those guys,
sensational.
yeah, and if they're happy, that's good for Marlon, because then they listen more to us and our needs and whatever.
And then they get more money. I mean, they
And
get more money, they get more budget
and
for the
you
team.
go along with the prestige. I mean, you're now with one of the top teams. I think I congratulated them, send always a quick text after the race to Eric Boulier I said, great race, great strategy,
It was.
Congratulations. It was, and they did it. Right?
But I mean, I don't think at that point there was really anything that Kimi could have done more than what he did. And Grosjean. I mean, we give Grosjean a hard time all the time because of last year. But I think they both drove outstanding race. The Red Bull was just too damn quick, but it doesn't explain what happened to Webber. Webber was being eaten up by Mercedes of Hamilton. I mean, he finished where? What's going on?
I don't know actually. You know what? Can I ask something? Star Sports.
Yeah.
You can't listen to their comments.
Why? The audio level?
The audio level is so bad.
It is bad.
Yeah,
it is
can
bad.
somebody talk to them and tell them to switch there's a small button you switch and then you could hear the audio.
Absolutely,
You can't hear their commentators.
We actually now subscribe to Fox Sports HD, and it's better.
Okay.
It's much better. So if you're watching locally, get Fox Sports HD. I don't know if you have that one.
Okay.
And the mix is a bit better because now David Croft and Brundle have good insight.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really getting proper commentary. So it's a shame if you're missing it because they're reading a lot into the race, and whereas previously with Steve Slater, he was commenting just basically what was happening, what we already saw. Whereas these guys are really more analysts, and they really do delve into the strategies a bit better, etc. I thought it was a great race. I thought Perez had a very good race, but I also thought that maybe he was a little too
beating it out with Button.
I think that was a bit too.
I wonder what they after the race, how they.
I heard Button on the radio. I thought I heard him on the radio say he got on the radio when he got hit, and he said, "Calm him down."
Yeah.
Because I mean, as teammates, and Button's just too experienced to play that game with a rookie. Right, he's not, and I respect that. It's like sometimes some people may say, "Well, Perez got the better of Button. He outscored him and he outraced him." I would also argue that no, I think somebody like Button would probably just weigh out his chances and going, "I could stay ahead of him, but this is not a Hamilton, an Alonso, or even a Vettel. This is a guy who's got nothing more to lose. He's he's had a really bad start to the season. He's been very disappointing." Whitmarsh said that he needs to toughen up a bit, which he showed he toughened up. Was it his Carlos Slim is his backer?
Yeah.
He was in the audience that day. He was live there. I guess he probably wanted to really impress him. He drove very aggressively, but I think maybe too aggressively. And he's just lucky that he has a teammate in Jenson Button that could probably realize, okay, you know what? I'm just going to, because if I defend madly, I think it's going to end in both cars out.
It's true. I mean, I think McLaren goes through a tough time after Hamilton left. It's
they have, and Hamilton has been showing that he made the right decision.
I feel a bit sorry for Rosberg, right?
Yeah.
Doing a great job and then falling back. I think he did excellent racing in the first few laps, but he couldn't defend against Ferrari, Red Bull, and all of them. So, but I think he ended. Then he ended up lower than Hamilton, which is
I couldn't understand two things there.
I think he had a problem also with tires, or I don't know.
Yeah, he also had a problem with tires, but it still doesn't explain why he had a worse race than Hamilton after a pole position. Hamilton was penalized for the gearbox, etc. So that, maybe he had a different, better strategy, or Hamilton was allowed to have a better strategy, but no, it doesn't explain it. And the other one that's completely unexplainable is Massa and Alonso again. Alonso had to pit, how many times? 4 or 5 times?
Yeah, but he had the problem with the DRS.
And he had the DRS problem. So, I mean, he had to pit in the one lap, and then a lap after he was back in the pits again, and yet he still finished ahead of his teammate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the Alonso factor, right? But it's
okay.
Strange,
how much
strange.
how much is Alonso factor, and how much is Massa is past his prime? or just maybe is it the accident? What do you think?
I don't know. He seems to be a bit like always playing the role of the underdog, which I don't know. It's maybe
It's getting tiring.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it anymore. I mean, maybe there was a short time, but you know what? If it's just the reason I feel so strongly about this is nothing personal, but Ferrari is such a valuable seat, just as a Red Bull is and a McLaren is, which is why I think people are very harsh on Perez right now. Is because hey, that could be McLaren is not the strongest team right now, but overall they're a very strong team, so they'll bounce back, and if Perez can't cut it, then somebody else should be.
Yeah.
If you were going to put money down on anyone this year who will be dropped mid-season, who would you say?
I don't know. Should I say this anymore on these things on
Absolutely.
TV?
It's fine.
Because
It's
I'm,
completely fine.
everybody tells me it's highly political.
No,
Being
just
dropped.
speak your mind. This is a podcast, so
I'm
we're allowed to say
joking.
whatever.
I'm joking. Who's been dropped? Wait, let me see. I had. Okay, another thing before I think that Hulkenberg, should be since a long time be in a better position or better team. Being dropped. Well, the name Perez came to my, I don't know.
There's too much money there.
No, and and then you need a chance, right? But I don't know whether it was such a good choice for,
I think it was too early.
McLaren, maybe a bit.
Weber, do you think Weber's gonna?
I know a few of the dads, of these young drivers because they have come. Not with Marlon, but maybe he was driving in GP3. They drive in GP2, and now some of them have dipped their toes into F1. So I don't want to say anything.
Okay. I got you. All right, and it's a tough question to ask. But it's Weber. I mean, I've always rated Weber super high, and that really hasn't changed much for me. But I think somehow if it gets to a point where Red Bull start to feel they're not going to play ball with team orders anymore, let's get somebody who can, because as far as a championship contender, I can probably say as early as now, I think it's a safe bet to say that Weber is not going to be a championship contender this year. So what are you going to risk with having him there? He's just going to finish out his contract. You can buy out his contract and put in somebody, because what could eventually happen is the gap is so large, and with Lotus so strong, McLaren I think will pick up. I can't see them staying like this all season. Mercedes being outstanding, and then Ferrari. Red Bull have a very, very serious chance and possibility of losing a Constructors' Championship. They may get the Drivers' Championship, but it's not going to be a walk in the park for Constructors. So I would think that maybe Weber, as much as it would break my heart, with Helmut Marko there, probably saying, listen, let's get somebody like, I don't know, Button would be an ideal teammate for Vettel. He would push him hard enough.
But I think he's very strong, embedded still in McLaren. I mean, that was in the press that Hamilton knocked really strongly on the door of Red Bull. He wanted to join the team by all means. I read that somewhere. Then somebody said, "Oh yeah, we know Weber is still, as long as Mateschitz doesn't say no to Weber, he's a loyal guy." And then they said, you have to go to Mercedes, and he was rolling his eyes. Oh my God, Mercedes, right? So I don't know which magazine. That wasn't C magazine, but
F1 Racing.
F1 Racing, yeah. But I think personally that Weber is still a very, very strong driver. I think he just had some kind of problems during the race.
He's having a lot of problems with his car, with the race. What did you think of that? Malaysia. Was that his fault? He clashed with.
No, it was Vettel's fault. Malaysia. Shanghai,
when he was
he lost the wheel. That was his fault. Yeah, he banged into
his junior team. Was it? It wasn't Ricardo. It was Verne. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, but Verne, the way I saw that race or that incident,
I think it was Weber's mistake.
I think it could have been. I could see it is Weber's mistake when you look at it, but I could see why Weber did it. It's not unreasonable for me to think that Vern opened the door for the senior team because his line was so far out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he came cutting back in. Now, that's something that I think you would expect from a major competitor. Let's say if he was racing a Ferrari, yes, they're not going to give you an inch. But your sister team that is really not fighting in the same race as you, he leaves the door open like that.
Yeah.
Yes, Webber is coming from a long way back. I thought, yes, it was his fault, perhaps, but I think it was a harsh for that he got a penalty for that too. I thought that was
it was a bit harsh, I think. Yeah.
Then
So he
you've
got
these
the
loose wheels.
Yeah.
Is that a conspiracy or is that
No, the again, this is not growing on my wisdom here. I think Christian Horner said like this is it's literally stupid to say it's a conspiracy, right?
Well, that
because I mean you're spending 400 million, right, to win a constructors championship, and then you give one of your drivers bad equipment or faulty equipment, so you're throwing away 200 million euros or dollars or whatever, just to give so it doesn't make sense.
I believe
and
you
they said because he didn't have enough fuel. So if you wanted to work against Webber, they should have given him actually more fuel, to make him slower against Vettel, right? So it was an honest mistake.
Well, you know that he's been signed for is it Porsche or Le Mans? I think it's Le Mans that he's signed up with Webber.
Yeah,
he's already that story broke already that he's already signed for next year. So this is that seems to be the confirmed reports that yes, he has signed and this is his last year in F1.
Well, I think he's just getting tired because it's like it's like a bit like Massa, right? You won't come out of it, right?
Well, I mean,
what should happen that suddenly you are the one?
I think Webber Alonso. I think that's well, not necessarily for Webber, but for Ferrari, that would be good. It's a perfect team matching, I think.
Yeah, mature and whatever. But then again, he's playing. They always want to put him in the mature statesman number two sort of seat, right? And then So who's gonna go into Red Bull? Is it Felix da Costa?
I think it's too early for that.
If he wins the World Series, then he's one of the.
That's also a big risk. I mean, you're putting him in a top. Wouldn't you test him first? Wouldn't you make him test for you reserve driver for 1 year at least? I mean, the only ones that I know who skipped that phase were Lewis Hamilton. Went straight from GP2 to a seat, and then we just got a whatchamacallit. It's denied. The rumors are denied. We got a message here from Albert Cuenca that says Mark's rumor. He just said those are rumors, but it came out in the magazine, so that's they're going to have a lot to answer for.
Okay.
We're just a podcast, so it's okay. We can spread rumors.
No. If I say this and if I say these things with Da Costa also, then Marlon, if he hears that, he said, "Dad, what do you mean?"
Yeah. You should be saying will be Marlon in there.
No.
Okay. I think, but basically, it is a really hot championship right now. I can't remember the first four races. We've had no boring ones. I can't say any one of them has been even half-heartedly boring. Every race has been sensational. Sadly, we have a double winner in Vettel. So it's going to be a great season. We have a 3-week break now until the next race in Spain, which is going to be heartbreaking for those of us who are really waiting for it. But all right, before we wrap up, because we got like 1 or 2 minutes left in the show, we're going to ask you to give you your chance to invite everyone else to the motor show, Lotus F1 Roadshow.
Yeah. So again, that's the Lotus F1 Roadshow, the Manila Speed Show, features Lotus F1 and Marlon Stockinger next May 4 and 5 at the Quirino Grandstand on Friday, and all around Mall of Asia on Friday afternoon. Saturday morning. Quirino Grandstand, and then Saturday afternoon and Sunday around Mall of Asia. lots of activities driving of the F1 car. I think it's about 10 outings of the F1 car that take about 6 to 10 minutes with donuts, with shows, so lots of engine noise. This is the most important.
Okay, quick question about the road show because we really have to wrap up. You said admission is free, so everyone's invited. What if some people want to get premium tickets, or I mean, like, okay, I want general admission. Is there a possibility for these people to hook up with Ticket World or get a premium spot?
Actually, we do not sell tickets specifically to have because really it's free admission. There are some VIP tents for sponsors and etc. But that's on an invitational basis. That's basically it. So no preferred tickets. You just go to MOA basically. Go to SM. Get there early. I mean, you have all the restaurants and coffee shops and whatever, and you will see a lot of the action. There's also an F1 village where you can see the cars, etc.
That's open to the public too?
I think this should be open to the public, yeah. Well, again, JP is... Yeah, I was counting on him for the for that one. That's not my.
Well, we got to leave it there. So thanks for joining us for this podcast of Counterflow. I'd like to thank Tom Stockinger for joining us here, and congratulations again for all the achievements with Marlin, and in advance for the Lotus F1 show. Make sure you don't miss it. Till next week. This has been James Deacon. Drive safely, everyone.